Hi, I'm Laura. I don't know if I should introduce myself or not, but if this is the first time that you are watching one of my videos, then welcome. I am the person, I guess, behind, but also in front of Suitcase Coder. And I wanted to do this for a while, but I'm finally doing it today because why not? I wanted to start a series, a mini series where I go over some of the most common things that you need to know for using Git and GitHub. But I figured I would go ahead and start by kind of explaining the bigger picture of what GitHub is when you're going to use it, go a little bit into what the terminal is and also how to use it, and basically just getting started. That being said, I will be releasing a couple of videos after this one where I will go ahead and describe how to clone, how to fork, how to do all of these things within GitHub that are actually really useful. And hopefully, no matter where you are in your journey, whether you're watching these to learn for the very first time, or if you are like working on a team project or a pair programming project and you are kind of embarrassed to ask because it's far along in your coding journey and you never really got the hang of it, but now it's too late to ask because I found myself in that position, which is why I'm making this video. So if you're in that position, then I'm hoping that these videos help you out. But also if you are looking to apply to jobs as a software developer and one of the requirements is, or inevitably one of the questions that you will get asked is whether or not you know how to use GitHub or any other kind of version control tools. And yeah, so hopefully this is kind of a one-stop shop for all of those common commands. I know there's going to be so many more things that pop up whenever you are using GitHub that I may not cover because there is so much that you can do with it, but at least the basics. Before describing what GitHub is or what Git is, I want to describe what version control is and why it's important when you are learning to code, or why it's important as a software developer. Version control is literally just that. You are controlling the different versions of your code or of a project. It's basically a way for you to be able to track basically all of the changes that you have done to your code, but also to be able to kind of save it along the way. Using versioning control allows you to basically just track versions. And there's different tools for doing so. One of them happens to be Git, which I'm actually going to share right here with you. Hopefully this video kind of explains everything that you need to know as far as like theory goes or bigger picture explanation of what it is, what's happening in the background, before teaching you just the skills that you can actually apply when you are coding, either by yourself or with a team. Git is obviously a free and open source tool that has all of the logic already made for us that allows us to be able to track our code, and it's able to see whenever you code something, anytime a change has happened, anytime that you are working with different branches, which we'll get into, anytime that you're maybe collaborating with somebody else and trying to merge projects with each other. So Git is what allows us to do that. GitHub is kind of the next step to using Git, and GitHub let me backtrack. So one thing is you can use Git on its own. Like if you want to keep control of your versions on your local computer and nowhere else, you can totally do that. There's no reason for you to need necessarily to go and take your code onto GitHub, or there's other ones that I can't think of right now because I'm blanking, but GitHub is one of the mainly used ones. So another thing with Git is that you are capable of doing this version control within your own local computer. So it's a tool that you can use and integrate into your projects, into your code pieces, that allows you to track that code kind of on its own. Once you kind of have an understanding of what Git is, which believe me, if you don't fully understand what it is, it's okay. I don't think it's going to prevent you from being able to actually use it and become a software developer. But the next idea or the next thought would be to being able to control the versions of your code and of your project that you're working on in a remote setting. So a lot of times you'll hear local versus remote. And local just means like on your personal computer, wherever it is that you're working on, whether it's on a laptop or on a desktop, that computer is your local spot. Anything remote would be anything like GitHub, which I'll get into here in a second, that allows you to basically track your code or keep track of your code in a remote spot that's not anywhere that's not on your local computer, right? So it allows you to kind of take it offline or take it off of your current computer and save it somewhere else just in case your computer crashes, it starts making super loud noises. You'll at least have that same version control tracking in a remote spot. And that's where GitHub comes into play. So one way that I've described GitHub before is to kind of compare it to a Google Drive, where it's a storage spot for all of your coding projects. And those projects and all the terminology gets a little bit confusing at first, but once you learn the different vocabulary that is used around coding, you'll get way more familiar with it. GitHub is that remote place.